A very good morning to all my dear students. A new day, a new morning, and we are starting with a new chapter, revisionary of chapter 3 and chapter 4 today. I hope students you have nicely revised incorporation of company, preliminary definitions and question answers that we did in the last class. Today we will be doing a new chapter, that is prospectus. So before we start the class, quickly, yes, good morning, Muskan, Asta, Shagufta, Telebi, all those who have joined the class, Miss Ram Dilari. Good morning, children, everyone. So before we proceed for today's class, just let me know why there is a need of prospectus. What do you understand by the word prospectus? What do we understand by the word prospectus? Why prospectus is required? Welcome to those who have just joined the class. So we have just started chapter number 3, Prospectus and Allotment of Securities in your live virtual revisionary classes. We will be first having a quick recap of the chapter, and then we will be doing the question and answer so that you get an idea about how to perform in the exam. Mr. Mani Vanan V, good morning, child. Pavan Kumar, good morning. Okay, Muskan says, ma'am, prospectus is a document which is used for advertising for the securities. All right. What else? You have done the entire chapter of prospectus. You have even done the question answers related to that. So it should not take that long, children. So does a private company issue a prospectus? Yes or no? In this chapter, we have provisions related to public offer, section 23 to 41. Section 42 specifically deals with how the private company is raising money. So does a private company needs to issue a prospectus? Yes or no in the chat box. Very good. Private company raises money through private placement. It never issues a prospectus. Well done. Good, Asta. Good, Ram Dilari. All those who have answered no, it's the correct answer. So now, as we have just briefly discussed, in case of a public offer, a public company has to issue a prospectus. Just because you want to raise the money from the public at large, to make a public offer, advertisement is given that please come and take up the shares in my company so that I can expand my business. This is a method of telling people, announcing to the people that we are now going to expand a business, and for that we need public to take up shares in a company. And once the applications are received, shares are allotted against those securities. So public company has initial public offer, further public offer, offer for sale, and by rights and bonus issue. However, private company can only do a private placement, but can a private company do rights issue and bonus shares? Yes or no? Children, it's revisionary, so you have to answer me more than I telling you. Very good. Everyone says yes, that's correct answer. Both of them can have rights and bonus issues and private. After that, definition of securities is important. You can get a question related to 2 marks. So you must learn this definition, which we have already done in detail in the class, and the definition of prospectus as well. So prospectus is a document which is described as prospectus, and we will be throwing some light in the revisionary to the shell prospectus, red herring, and any advertisement which is offered as a prospectus. So all those type of prospectus, which is a deemed prospectus, abridged prospectus, which is just a summarized kind of thing which goes with every application. That is what we are going to understand. Section 24 is quite easy. I don't think there is any doubt in that, because it simply tells you that SEBI is going to regulate the matters related to the transfer of securities. Now, deemed prospectus, section 25. What is the meaning of deemed prospectus? I am a company. I'm not allotting my securities directly to the public. I have given my securities to some intermediaries, an issue house, who will be issuing the securities further. Now, the document that this person shall be using for issuing my shares to the public, that document shall deem to be the prospectus. Means I am not here. Allotment is presumed to have been made that the securities are being given to the public. I am not going directly, but I'm going through the issuing house. Then this issuing document shall be a deemed prospectus. So what are the two conditions to be satisfied in case of a deemed prospectus? Number one, what is the time period for the securities to be offered? You have to tell children. Shagufta, very nice. So it is 5 months, 4 months, 3 months, 6 months. Astha, nice, 6 months. And in case of a deemed prospectus, for the second condition, Ramdulari correct, Manivanan correct, all of you are correct, 6 months. And what is the second condition? Full consideration should have been received or should have not been received. The full consideration, it says the securities should be offered within 6 months or the full consideration has been received or not been received. Excellent, Muskan, Asta, Shagufta, all of you have given the correct answer. It should not have been received. Then only if these two conditions, either of these two conditions are satisfied. If any of the two conditions, very, very important, children. Now, since your exams are approaching, I'm sure you must have highlighted in the study material where it is and, where it is or. ये बहुत जरूरी है आप सबको पता हो. Because in the exam, you have to do the analysis on the basis of such case studies. That if it is whether both the conditions are required or one. So remember here, one of the conditions is met, then it shall deem to be prospectus. And what happens when it deemed to become a prospectus? All the requirements of section 26, that is the contents to be required to be given in the prospectus and the liabilities of 34 and 35 become applicable to this job. Anything additionally to be stated in this prospectus? So there were certain more matters which have to be given. Amount, net amount received for the consideration, the time and place where this underlying contract was made. You made a contract with the issuing house, right? That you have to issue the securities further to the public. So it can be inspected at any time. And the person who is making this offer will be named as a shareholder or a director of the company. What will you name the person? So I have given my shares to an issuing house, ABC. So those ABC will be known as director or shareholder. Khushi Gupta, well done. Muskan, Asta, Ms. Kashyap, everybody. No, Ms. Kashyap, it's not shareholder, it is director. So director was the correct answer for this. And signing of the prospectus shall be done by at least 2 directors. And if it is a partnership firm, so my question to the class is, if it's a partnership firm, if it's a partnership firm having 30 partners and 12 partners have signed this deemed prospectus, is it valid? 12 of the partners have signed this prospectus. Is it valid? No. Why? Why do you say no? Because at least 15 should sign it. If 17 have signed, then it is valid. Yes. So what is the condition? At least half of the partners should sign this deemed prospectus. Now, what are the contents of prospectus? Contents of the prospectus. Prospectus shall always be dated and signed. किस तरह से MCQ आ सकता है? There was a prospectus. It was not signed or it was not dated. It's very important to date the prospectus. You should know, because children, you're giving all the financial information of the company in that. Members are going to invest seeing what is the financial position of the company on that very respective date. So it has to be dated and signed. Number 2 is a declaration has to be given for all the compliance. And these are all the declarations. Then a statement has to be given. All the acts has been compliant. Securities Contract Act, SEBI, Companies Act, all the rules and regulations. After that, you will have to submit the reports which are required by SEBI. So dated and signed declaration, all these points I have made in them in bold so that you can simply go through these points. And all the PPTs are already uploaded for you on the portal also. So you can download and you can just simply revise from the notes along with your study material. Now, what were the conditions for an expert? Who is an expert, first of all? Who is going to raise their hand and tell me who is an expert? Who would be regarded as an expert? There is an expert statement which shall be included. Okay, Miss Muskan. Yes, Miss.
Expert means any person like engineer, valuer, chartered accountant, company secretary who has power, who has authority to issue a certificate in pursuance of any law.
Excellent. Very good, Muskan. Well done. So my next question is, if the consent has been given by an expert and he has withdrawn that consent, can we include the copy of that consent in the prospectus? What are the three conditions? If such kind of no is the very correct answer, Asta, but what will your correct answer in this case? So if such a kind of question comes, children, you will have to tell them that the prospectus should always include the statement made by expert. Three conditions need to be satisfied. Expert should not be engaged in the formation of the company. He should have given his written consent and has not withdrawn this consent. Also, the copy of his consent should have been, he has not withdrawn the consent before the delivery. So while you are delivering the copy of prospectus with the registrar, his consent should not have been withdrawn. Only if these three conditions are satisfied, then only you can issue the prospectus, including expert's consent. Clear, children? Now, what are the two exceptions in which prospectus shall not be issued? Quickly write down in the chat box. The question for you is, what are the two cases in which prospectus is not required? What are the two cases in which the prospectus is not required? If it is issuing the shares to existing member. Very good. What else? What else? Well done. So let's see the answer. So prospectus is not required if you're issuing the shares to the existing members or debenture holders. And if you're issuing the shares and debentures with the uniform shares and debentures which have already been issued. So there are A equity shares which are already listed on the recognized stock exchange. Now you're issuing the similar uniform shares and debentures which have been previously issued. Then you don't need to issue a prospectus again. Why? Because you've already given the information related to the company before. And now when you're doing a rights issue, your existing members, they're already aware. So there is no need of issuing a full-fledged prospectus in these two cases. Now, my next question to all of you is, who shall sign the deemed prospectus? Who shall sign the deemed prospectus? Very good, Muskan. For the existing member, the answer is correct. Kushi Gupta, who will sign the deemed prospectus? My question to all of you. At least two directors. Very nice. In case of a company, Kushi Gupta, you will not just write at least two directors. You will have to tell them that in case it's a company which is the issuing house, in case of deemed prospectus, then at least two directors will be signing. But in case of a partnership firm, at least half of the partners shall be signed. Clear ho gaya sabko? Shugufta, Asta, everybody has given the correct answer, but you will have to give the answer for the partnership firm. Arya, Ishan, Jain, good. Why are you writing CS, Ishan, Jain? I have asked you about the deemed prospectus. Okay. Then can the prospectus be signed by majority of our directors, true or false? Now we are talking about the contents of the prospectus under section 26, and when the final prospectus is being filed with the ROC, can this prospectus be signed by majority of directors? Yes or no? Muskan is the first one to give the correct answer. Manivanan V, good. So all the directors should have to be Signing and all the proposed directors, Kushi Gupta. Soumya, false is the correct answer. Good, beta. Shugufta, the answer to this is false, not true. Okay. Well done, students. So both these answers, both the things are clear to you. One is a deemed prospectus, where we have a condition of 2 directors and half of the partners. But in case of your this prospectus that you're filing with the ROC, all the directors should be signed. What shall be disclosed on the face of prospectus? Now, examiner is not going to give you this kind of question straightforward. He might give you ABC Limited, not private limited. Private limited prospectus deti nahi hai na. ABC Limited is issuing a prospectus, and there are certain requirements that it failed to disclose on the face of prospectus. Kindly advise, you are the future budding chartered accountants. Please advise ABC Limited what needs to be disclosed. Is there any specific things that are required to be disclosed on the face of prospectus? Nishant Jain, very good. Correct answers. Ram Dulari, good. Muskan, all the relevant documents have been dispatched. Requirements are fulfilled. Kushi Gupta, well done. So I am noticing that your speed is also increasing now, because this is a typing thing that you're doing, but in exam, it's very important to write the paper, not too fast also, but the speed should be appropriately matching with the time allotted to you. Please be very sure to do your MCQs also very nicely. Okay, I wanted to give you a tip related to MCQ today. So children, many a time students get very instant that I knew the MCQ, but I did the wrong option. So I'm going to tell you a very important tip for the MCQs. The moment you read the question, read it twice. Try to understand what the examiner is asking you in that question. And please try to figure out the answer in your mind before reading the options. This will give you a lot of clarity, because the MCQs definitely get to become confusing for you, because you've already uploaded yourself with too much of information. आपने सारा syllabus पढ़ लिया हो, आपने फॉरेन कंपनी भी पढ़ा होता है, आपने इंटरप्रिटेशन भी पढ़ा होता है, सब कुछ आप पढ़ चुके होते हो जब आप एग्जाम देने जाते हो. जब हम क्लास में कर रहे होते हैं, we are doing 1-to-1 questions. So the conceptual clarity is very clear, because you are directly dived into that particular chapter. But when you go for your final exam, you have so much information in your mind. So first read the question, think what should be the correct answer for this, and then look into the options which are given in the MCQ options. All right. Then the chances of picking up a correct option will be most likely correct. Prospectus is valid. Now, let me check your answers. Let me show you the correct answer. Disclosure on the face of prospectus, it shall specify that the copy of prospectus has already been delivered and filed with ROC, and all the documents and statements which are attached should also be specified. आपने prospectus के साथ क्या-क्या documents लगाए हैं वो specify करना है. Ma'am, do we need to give the list of documents? Yes, all the documents list. बस आपने attach तो करा ही हुआ है declarations, reports. उसकी सिर्फ लिस्ट. फेस ऑफ प्रोस्पेक्टस का मतलब होता है जब कंपनी का कोई भी प्रोस्पेक्टस देख रहा है तो उसके सामने नजर आ रहा है कि इस पे ये सब चीजें लगी हुई, एंड आपकी ये प्रोस्पेक्टस की कॉपी फाइल्ड है आरओसी के साथ. All right, let's move ahead. Validity of prospectus. For how long the prospectus is valid, for how many days? I give you options. It's 30 days, 60 days, 40 days, or 90 days. Good. Astha, Kushi, Ramdulari, all of you are correct. 90 days from the date of filing with the registrar. Excellent, Khushi Gupta. Very important to write the correct and complete answer, children, because in law, all these legal provisions should be written fully. Shagufta, that's correct. Ishant Jain, correct. Manivanan, 90 days from the date of delivering the prospectus to the registrar. So this kind of question can come directly also, or he will give you certain dates. So prospectus shall be issued at least within 90 days of filing with the ROC. It will be a valid prospectus. After 90 days, it will not be a valid prospectus. So this is the summary of the contents that we have discussed. Expert report बहुत important है, उसकी base पे बड़ी question आता है. Given and not withdrawn is very mandatory. And this is the cover page. Copy has been delivered. List of copies. Now, what is the penalty if the prospectus, any contravention is done in the prospectus? 50,000 to 3 lakhs is the fine for the company. And same fine is for any person who is making a default. So now these kind of penalties which are similar, important chapter hai, easy hai, to ye wali penalties learn kar liya. And prospectus wale chapter mein we'll make sure that we learn the forms also. Asta, you had a doubt in the previous class regarding INC 3 form. So I would like to clarify you once again that that is the form in which if the member has nominated another person as a nominee within 15 days when he receives the notice of withdrawal, he has to take the consent of any other person who is nominated in INC 3. All right. So you were correct, the query that you were asking. I hope INC 3 is now clear to you. Very good, Ishant and Shagufta. All of you have mentioned the correct fine. That's good. Now, what are the conditions? I asked you what difference between IPO and FPO? What is the difference between IPO and FPO? You can raise your hands and answer me the 6th question. Again, Muskan has raised her hand, but what about others? All right.
Ma'am, IPO is issued for first offer and FPO is issued for subsequent offer.
All right. Let's hear from Ishant also. Good, Muskan. Yes, Mr. Ishant. Okay, your mic is not working.
Ma'am, IPO means initial public offering. It means that fresh shares are being issued for the stock exchange. Whereas,
all right. All right. So once you're coming up for the first time, any offer that you're making to the public, that is initial public offer. And again, subsequently, the company is in need of money, then it raises the further public offer. Well done, Ishant and Muskan. Good. Can we make a variation in prospectus? Now, this is a prospectus that we have issued to the public. And now, entire public knows what is the company into, what is the financial data, how the company has been running. And now you think that I want to make any certain changes in my prospectus. Is it possible? Can we make any kind of variations in the prospectus? Okay, Ishant wants to answer this one. Yes.
yes, ma'am, we can make variations in prospectus, but we should advertise, or otherwise we should give notice to the existing shareholders that the prospectus is being various variations are being made.
All right. Right time. So let's have a go through now how this kind of variations can be made and what are the conditions. So it says any kind of variation. First of all, it says it should be strictly using the funds which have been raised from the public. But if you want to make any variation, you can do it, but prior approval by SR is required. What is the meaning of SR? Special resolution has to be passed. The details of the resolution will be published in the newspapers, one in English, one in vernacular, and also place it on the website of the company. Because it's very important, the people should know. You cannot just change the terms of the contract. People are entering into contract with you on the basis of prospectus. So if you are making any changes, SR has to be passed, special resolution approval has to be taken from the shareholders. It will be published in the newspaper, and whosoever are the dissenting shareholders. There are few people who say that I don't want, if the company is changing its purpose or any other variation, then I don't want to continue with this company. Who are they known as? They're known as dissenting shareholders, and they will be given an option to give an exit offer. If they don't want to continue, they can exit from the company. And what is the form in which advertisement is to be given for any kind of variations? If you are learning the forms, which is the form PAS1 form. Very good. Pooja, correct answer for the previous one. Good. Asta Sethi, correct. Asta is learning all the forms. PS1 has to be given for the advertisement of the notice. Now, offer for sale is another very important section, that is 28. Now, here, shareholder goes to the company and tells him that I want to sell my shares in the market. So, earlier, company is going and asking the people to buy their shares. Now, he is selling a shareholder's shares in the company. Shareholder says, company, people know you. It is very difficult for me to go and sell in the market. So members are offering their shares and authorizing the company to offer them for sale. And any expenditure which will be happening, that the members will be reimbursed. So this is known as OFS, that is offer for sale. Again, the document for which offer is sale is made, it shall deem to be prospectus. Section 26, 34, 35 will become up. But what will examiner ask you? What are the 4 things which are not applicable in case of section 28? I will hide this answer. What are the 4 things which are not applicable in case of an offer for sale? Reimbursement you will get, shareholders' shares are going in the market, but there are 4 things which are not applicable. Write down quickly in the chart. Is minimum subscription and minimum application applicable? No. Aishwarya, well done. It is not applicable. Do we need to make a statement for the utilization money? Soumya, good. Very good. All of you giving the correct answers. Excellent. So provisions of minimum subscription, minimum application, any provision of board of directors for utilization money, any other information which cannot be offered by the offerer, all these things are not mandatory in case of offers. Then this advertisement for the prospectus, section 30. What are the contents to be included? I will be giving you a question. Let's do certain important questions now, the case study based. Examine the validity of this allotment in the light of the provisions of Companies Act. Board of Directors of Reckless Investment Limited have allotted the shares to the investors of the company without issuing a prospectus with the ROC. Explain the remedy available to the investors. First, you tell me, if it is a 3 marks question, what would be your answer and how you will express it in words. Now, here the examiner is clearly telling you that the shares have been allotted, but the prospectus was not filed with the concerned ROC. So, you know that it is mandatory to file before you go for any public offer. Whatever prospectus you have made, whatever contents of section 26 you have included, it has to be filed with the ROC. So quickly tell me in the chat box, what would be your suggestion or answer for this one? Very good. If you don't remember section 23, no need. It's okay. As per the provisions of Companies Act, you can write down, nothing to worry in that. And then you will tell them that the public company will issue prospectus for raising money. There are certain matters and contents to be included. In the given case, company has violated the provisions because it is mandatory to file the prospectus with the registrar before it is issued. Therefore, company will have to refund the entire money received and will be punishable under Section 26. And if I ask you what will be the punishment and penalty, what will you write in that case? If any contravention of Section 26 is made. Okay, Muskan is asking, ma'am, it is very difficult to memorize all the forms and penalties when all the chapters come together. Okay, Muskan, I will give you an answer to this one, how you have to do that. Allotment is void. Very good, Manivanan. Allotment is void and you have to refund the money for this. Good, Astha. The fine will be 50,000 to 3 lakh because any contravention of Section 26. Soumya has also given the correct fine and void is the correct answer. Aishwarya, good for the previous one. All right. Now, Muskan is asking, it becomes very difficult to learn all the forms and penalties. Now, what we have to do is, like when we were doing the chapters, I told you, as and when any penalty comes, keep on writing it down on the sheet and then stick that sheet on the front page of every chapter. So that on the examination date, you don't have to go through the pages of the chapters to find the penalties. You can just have a flip through of all the penalties written at one place of every chapter. So my advice is, like for the deposits, registration of forms, prospectus, these chapters have little lesser forms and lesser number of penalties. So it's advisable to learn them. Auditors and auditors, very important penalty. You have to learn that penalty. MGT, INC has too many forms. So it's okay even if you don't remember. So there is a term known as taking a chance in exam. So if I am just paying attention towards these forms and penalties, and I'm trying to be very much conscious about 5 to 6 marks question paper that is going to ask to me. But in the light of that, I forget that I am not preparing properly for 90 to 95 marks of it. You really want to be a rank holder and you want to do 100 marks paper, please learn all the forms and all the penalties. But when it comes to memorizing, you have to write it down on a piece of paper, sticking it on the front page of each chapter. And once you have learned them, then on the day before the exam, just flip the pages. You know what is the meaning of flip the pages? Don't start reading each and every line because the time is very less and no one is going to leave a single section a day before the exam. हमें लगता है हमें आता है, but paper से एक दिन पहले, this is a very important tip I'm giving you, at least all the sheets should have gone through in front of your eyes once. Because learning part is now that you're doing. Answering part is now that you're doing. You don't have to prepare yourself for how to write an answer on the day before the exam. All right? So this is how you have to make an effort for learning the forms and penalties. Okay. Okay, Ishant has a query. Ma'am, मैंने सब पढ़ा था, everything conceptually, and I was well at language. But marks अच्छे नहीं आए. So you have to do a writing practice, Ishant. Ishant, हमें कई बार लगता है कि हमें आंसर लिखना आता है. अभी जैसे आपके सामने एक question number 1. I said it for 3 marks question. Some children have just written the penalty in the answer. वो क्या आपसे पूछ रहा है? इसमें क्या इंपॉर्टेंट था? लेट मी टेल यू. इसमें इंपॉर्टेंट था कि कंपनी की कंटेंट सेक्शन 26 में लिखे हुए हैं और रिक्वायरमेंट है कि वो रजिस्टर्ड होना चाहिए. कंपनी ने वायलेट करी है ये प्रोविजन, इसलिए इंटायर मनी रिफंड होगी और ये अलॉटमेंट वॉइड. These 4 words were mandatory, but somebody is just writing the penalty. Now you tell me, Ishant, if somebody has just written the penalty 50,000 to 3 lakh and is not giving the reference to all these points, and out of 3, what will I do? I will give him a half a mark or a 1 mark. But the child will think I have written the correct answer. So please go through all the MTPs, RTPs suggested answers. They have told you, ICAI is helping you themselves. They're telling you that this is the format, this is the way I wanted to answer it. So please answer it accordingly. जैसा वो चाह रहे हैं, जैसा हम आपको करा रहे हैं, जैसा हम आपको असाइनमेंट्स में दे रहे हैं, please try to attempt the answers in the similar kind of. Right? Now, second question. Board of Directors of Chandra Limited wants to issue the prospectus inviting the public for subscribing the shares. Tell me what reports are required. Now, this is a very straightforward question. Just simply have to write the contents of section 20. Now, you know what the children will do? Most of them will write the stories about the experts' consent. That is also one of the part, but this topic, this question relates to the first part of section 26 consent. Contents. What does it say? Any expert's consent, person who is not engaged in the formation of the company, that has to be attached. Prospectus shall be dated and signed. All the information of SEBI has to be included in consultation with CG. All the information and compliance of the acts of Companies Act, Securities Contract Regulation Act, SEBI Act, everything has to be complied. All the reports have to be given. Prospectus will also give a declaration that everything has been complied, a statement related to declaration. Remember, we just revised that nothing contrary has been done with respect to these acts. So conclusion, लिखना है पेपर में ऐसे वो केस स्टडी बना के दे रहे हैं ना आपको. बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स ऑफ चंद्रा लिमिटेड इज इशूइंग द सिक्योरिटीज. तो आपको फ्यूचर बडिंग चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट समझ रहा है. वो कह रहा है आप सीए हो, आप हमें बताओ कि अब आप किसी को एडवाइस दे रहे हो. ऐसे ही करना है हमने. आफ्टर बिकमिंग अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट यू विल बी having sitting in your offices and you will be advisors, tax consultants or company law matters. So how you will be giving advice at that time? So law, they are trying to prepare you case studies through case studies in a practical way, how you will be moving in the real world. So you write the relevant provision and you give the conclusion. In such kind of questions, don't waste your time in facts of the case because here facts of the case are not necessary. So you will simply tell them accordingly, these board of directors shall provide all the reports SEBI in consultation with CG requires and make a declaration that the compliance has been. कहीं भी एक्सपर्ट्स को लेकर इतना ज्यादा बड़ा नहीं लिखना है क्योंकि वो आपसे रिपोर्ट मांग रहा है. Clear? Now question number 3, you're going to read, but you're not going to see the answer. And you have to give me the answer for this. I did the answer. So Kia Limited wants to issue 1 lakh securities of the company and the company wants to publish an advertisement in the prospectus. Enumerate to the company about necessary contents of its memorandums to be specified there. What all will be included? Tell me. Section 30, that's correct. But what are the contents? Good, Asta Sethi, correct answer. I'm waiting for others to give the answer and then I will show you the correct answer. What are the contents of the advertisement of prospectus? Okay, Aishwarya, good. One of the point is correct. What about others? Objects, capital structure, okay, good. Okay, Manivanan, Aishwarya and Asta, 3 children who have given the answers. Let me show you the correct answer. So how you have to remember it? Now, do you know the word memorandum that you have heard in CA Foundation also when we were doing about memorandum of association? So here the word memorandum is not that memorandum. It is saying that the document which are you issuing and the advertisement, this is the document which is known as memorandum. So the following things have to be included in the memorandum. Now here we will try to learn the information from the name of memorandum. Memorandum clause में क्या आते थे? Name आता था, objective आता था, liability आता था, capital आता था, and number of shares आता था. Authorized share capital में number of shares to be subscribed. So here you will remember it in the same way. Name clause में name of the signatories होते थे, objective होता था company का, liability of members and कितनी share capital है company की, कितने shares उन्होंने लिए and capital structure. Actually, this is not the memorandum, this is the advertisement, but try to retain the information in your mind from the viewpoint of memorandum. Clear? Now, let's do certain MCQs. Read the question and give the correct answer in the chat box. An issuing house share broker has issued the advertisement in 2 leading newspapers for selling a number of shares to be allotted to it by the company under private placement. Which of the conditions will the advertisement not deem to be a prospectus? Very good, Asta, Manivanan, Ishant. Everybody has given the correct answer. So very good, children. Good, Muskan, Ramdulari, Shugufta. B is the correct answer, where the shares have been issued after 6 months, entire consideration has been received. So here it shall not deem to be prospectus. A private company cannot issue the securities by rights issue, bonus issue, private placement, or by issue of prospectus in the public. All these are examination MCQs which have been coming in the paper. So B is the correct answer. Very good. All of you have given it correct. In case of offer of sale of shares by certain members, which option is applicable? Provisions related to minimum subscription is not applicable. Entire minimum subscription shall be received within 3 days of the opening day. 25% to be received on the opening and 75% remaining. 50% of the subscription to be received by the second day of the opening day and remaining 50%. Now, if you are sitting in an exam and so much information is there in your mind, आपको अभी easy लगेगा क्योंकि आपने मेरे साथ करा है. But if you tend to forget at that time, just remind yourself, have you ever read this kind of provision anywhere? 50% received at the time of second day. ऐसा तो कुछ है ही नहीं. Section 39 में भी नहीं. 25 on the opening date. You have not read any such things. Now here is the problem. So offer for sale, we have clearly read that minimum subscription is not applicable. So A is the correct answer. Clear, everyone? One more MCQ for you. This is related to section 29. I've given you a hint also. Company is incorporated on 2nd December 2018. 25 subscribers, authorized share capital, directors are in the dilemma to issue the shares in Demat form or physical form. It's an unlisted company, either issue the physical share certificates to the subscriber or issue them in dematerialized. Company has to issue only in dematerialized form. Companies having more than 100 shareholders will issue in Demat. Otherwise, the company can issue physical shares. Now, there are 2 hints to this question. One, date is given. Another word they're using, it's an unlisted company. So what is the criteria? What exactly needs to be seen? Everyone, for question number 8. I hope you're giving me the answer for this one only. Manivanan, not correct. Okay, for this one you have given. All right, good. Pooja. Kushi Gupta. So what would be the correct answer, children? Now, 2nd December 2018 is the date that he has given you specifically, because with effect from 2nd October 2018, every company making a public offer has to issue securities in dematerialized form, whether it is listed or unlisted. Provision A, he is just trying to confuse you that it is an unlisted, so you can issue. So second option is the correct answer, because you will write the conclusion also, whether it is a listed or unlisted company, it has to issue the subscribers, because from 2nd October 2018, it was decided clearly that you have to issue the securities in dematerialized. A share prospectus filed with ROC will remain valid for a period of dash. Share prospectus is valid for how long? 1 year from the date of registration, 90 days, 1 year from the date of opening of the first issue, 1 year from the date of closing of the first issue. Arya Kakani is written 1 year. बेटा 3 options में 1 year है. ध्यान से पढ़ो कौन सा option select कर. Pooja, give the correct answer. All right, good. Arya, good. Answers are correct. Shugufta. No, Shugufta, wrong answer. 90 days वाला तो बेटा वो वाले prospectus में था ना, जो हम section 26 में contents पढ़ रहे थे. अभी हम shelf prospectus की बात कर रहे हैं. अभी रिवाइज भी कराऊंगी बेटा इसको. So third is the correct answer. 1 year, it shall remain valid from 1 year from the date of opening of the first issue. All those who have given C is the correct answer. I don't know why children are saying D. D is never the correct answer for share prospectus. Is RHP, Red Herring Prospectus, a complete prospectus? True or false? Is Red Herring Prospectus a complete prospectus? True or false? All of you say false. फटाफट से लिख दिया सबने false. Why? Why it is false? Because in this prospectus, Ishan says true. No, beta, it's wrong. It's false. Why it's false? Because in this prospectus, either the quantity or the number, quality, price or the quantity of number of shares to be issued are missing. All right. Now let's have a quick recap of shelf, red herring, abridged and deemed prospectus. What is the requirement for shelf prospectus? Now, if the company is issuing securities again and again over a certain period of time, it has decided to issue securities. So there is no need to issue the fresh prospectus every time. We decide to issue a shelf prospectus which has a life of 1 year. You just told me right now, 1 year from the date of. Just a second. All right. Let me see the students on the portal also answering it correctly or not. So information memorandum is required. What is information memorandum, children? What is the meaning of information memorandum? Write down in the chat box. Very good. Showing the changes in the prospectus because you're issuing the prospectus again and again. So here you want to see the changes. Karthik B, it's okay. You can write down the answers here also. Pratiksha, Sachin Kumar, Hasmita, all of your answers are correct. Okay. The students on the portal. Now, information memorandum plus the shell prospectus shall deem to be the prospectus. What is the form in which the information memorandum shall be issued? Very good, Ramdulari. It gives the information about whatever changes are made in the prospectus. What is the form to be used? Good, Pooja, Asta, Manivan, and Julie Kumari. Okay, many new students have also joined. All right. PS2. PCA2 लिख दिया जूली कुमारी आपने, कितनी गलत बात है. चैप्टर का नाम क्या है? प्रोस्पेक्टस एंड अलॉटमेंट ऑफ सिक्योरिटीज. तो P prospectus A and allotment of securities S. So PAS. ऐसे याद. Okay. Shugufta and Nishan, correct all of you. PS2 is the form to be used. So it is a convenient method by using shell prospectus. You don't have to issue the prospectus every time. You have to file it with the registrar. And 1 year from the date of opening of the first offer, it remains valid. No further prospectus is required for every subsequent issues, but only you issue information memorandum. What is the time period for issuing IM, information memorandum? 3 months पहले, 2 months पहले, 1 month पहले होना चाहिए. 1 month prior to every issue. Good. Company will refund all the monies in 15 days. Now, what happens? Information memorandum will give all the material facts and changes, whatever has been made between the earlier and the current proposed issue. If the applicant is not satisfied with the change position in the company, can they withdraw their application? Yes. Within how many days the refund of the money has to be given? Within 15 days, you will have to refund. Exam वाले दिन अब क्या देखना है? दोबारा नहीं इशू होता है इंफॉर्मेशन मेमोरेंडम में. 1 year, 1 month and 15 days. फटाफट से रिवाइज करना. Prakhar Limited wants to raise share capital by issuing equity shares in different stages for a certain period of time. Company does not want to issue prospectus each time. Considering the provision, disclose the formalities, avoid repeated issuance of securities. Write down the answer in the same format. I've given you a hint, or he can ask you what are the provisions related to share prospectus. I give you 2 minutes. Everyone is going to write down this answer in the chat box. So whatever students are here in the Zoom, as well as on the portal, I give you 2 minutes to write this answer in the chat box. Hasmita, Sachin Kumar, Pratiksha, Karthik, all of you also have to write the answers. Good, good. At least you are trying to write the points. That nice. Excellent. PS2, 1 year, 1 month, 15 days. You're just giving the hints, but in exam you have to write the statements. Ram Dulari has written the proper answer. Very beautifully done. Others, Pooja, Muskan, Shagufta, everybody has written the points. Yes, good. Pooja has written, they will issue the share prospectus. So first is the answer that you have to give them, that this is the meaning if they can follow all these conditions and provisions and can issue a share prospectus. So SEBI is giving an option to issue a share prospectus at any stage of the first issue. 1 year, you can issue more. After that, for any subsequent issue, no fresh issue, no further prospectus is required. But you have to file information memorandum within 1 month prior to this, showing the changes. And you can also give the provisions if the applicants are not satisfied, they can refund the money in 15 days. If all these points are covered, then you get, say, for example, it's a 4 marks question, and you have given all these points, 1 year, 1 month, 15 days refund is also given, you get 4 or 3.5. But if you're just telling them that, okay, company can issue share prospectus and they shall get it filed with the registrar, you're not giving the legal provisions, you're not writing law, you get 1 mark. Or if you have given information memorandum, explain it the way I have explained you in the answer. All right, it's 8 o'clock. So let's take a small break here and then we will wind up prospectus and move to the questions related to share capital. So let's take a break here. Yes, students, welcome back. Let's have a quick recap of red herring and abridged prospectus. Then I have important questions from penalties also for all of you. We are just about to finish prospectus. So red herring prospectus. What do you understand by red herring prospectus? Here the quantity and price is not known. It is sent to the qualified institutional buyers. These are the finance companies who are the experts in the stock market field, and they help you in determining the quotations for the shares of the company. It is also known as dash method. It's called book building method. Let me see if any queries so far. Yes, that's correct, Ishant. It's a short description in the information memorandum. That was right. Astha Sethi has also given all the points in the chat box for the previous one. That's correct. Soumya, your answer was also correct. Nidhi is asking, ma'am, क्या हम सारांश पढ़ के ही रिविजन कर सकते हैं? So, beta, saransh is for your summarized form that institute has made, so that you can just read from that in a summary way. But for learning part, you will have to open study material. Okay, study material is the Bible for you. You have provision that is written in the study. So red herring prospectus is very, very simple. Nothing very much great in that. Again, the only thing is it has to be filed within 3 days prior to opening of the offer. And then we have abridged prospectus. Abridged prospectus is another very important thing because it contains all the silent features. That is a summarized form of the prospectus. With every application form, it has to do. But there are 2 cases in which it is not required. If there is a bona fide invitation for undertaking writing ke liye nahi chahiye hota. When the shares are not offered to public, means existing members ko hi de rahe ho aap. And when it is specifically said that it is given to existing members, then also abridged prospectus is not required. And if somebody asks for the full copy of prospectus, then you have to give them before the close of the subscription list. It should be offered. Any default, fine of 50,000. अब फिर से फाइन सिमिलर है, 50,000 to 3 lakh था ना, वहां पे 50,000 सेम है, तो लर्न कर सकते. Misstatement in prospectus का मतलब क्या होता है? What is the meaning of misstatement? Misstatement means कोई भी prospectus में untrue statement. If you're trying to suppress any material facts, you're trying to hide anything, then if any important material information has not been disclosed, because children, I told you prospectus is the information on the basis of which investors are going to take a decision whether to invest in your company or not. But you are a company who is having number of subsidiaries, but you're not telling them, then that is an important information. That means you have tried to hide any information, then section 34 and 35 becomes applicable. Where it is an intentional mistake, section 34 will come into picture. You will have to be fined. But offenses means if the person says that the information was omitted, was not influencing the decision of investors, like in the same case where the subsidiaries are there, but it was not the information which is affecting the decision of the investors, there you can take a protection. Astha Sethi is asking, ma'am, in abridged prospectus, they have to give it, or the person, if the person requests for the complete prospectus, then you have to give it before closing the subscription. Okay. The reasons to believe that the information was true, it has to be explained. Where a person has subscribed, Manivanan is saying 447 is okay. We will be doing 447, beta, don't worry. Where the person has taken the securities on the basis of misleading prospectus, then he will be liable. The company will be liable to pay the damages and the loss. But then you have to prove If the company does not want to be liable, they will have to prove that the directors had withdrawn their consent before the issue of prospectus. Directors were not aware of this misleading statements, and they have relied on the expert statement. Who was the expert? He was a competent. He has given his written consent and not withdrawn. कंपनी क्या कर रही है? कंपनी अपनी प्रोटेक्शन कर रही है. हरलीन मैम ने इन्वेस्टर है, उन्होंने कहा एबीसी लिमिटेड ने मुझे धोखा दिया है, उन्होंने मिसलीडिंग प्रोस्पेक्टस. कंपनी के डायरेक्टर मिस्टर ए कहते हैं हम तो एक चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट से हमने एक्सपर्ट स्टेटमेंट ली थी, हमने उसकी एक्सपर्ट स्टेटमेंट के ऊपर रिलाय करा और ये स्टेटमेंट दे दी. तो ये अपना डिफेंस यूज कर रहे हैं, अपने आप को डिफेंड कर रहे हैं. तो whosoever is liable, now directors are liable to me under section 35 civil liability करा उन्होंने, they have to prove this point to escape the penalty. But if it is proved that there was an intention to defraud the investors, वो cheat कर रहे थे investors के साथ, फिर personally liable हो जाएंगे सारे directors. So criminal liability में 447 लगेगा. अभी मैं आपको बताती हूँ section 34 में and 35 में आपको civil liability. अगर तो immaterial है, grounds to believe that it was not important, then he can escape. Otherwise 447 will become liable. Now, what is 447? Very, very important penalty. It is the punishment for doing any kind of fraud. If the company tries to do any kind of fraud with the investors, now you are issuing the prospectus, you are inviting the public to come and invest in your company, and you are trying to cheat the public also. एक तो आप उनसे पैसा ले रहे हो और फिर आप उन्हें धोखा भी दे रहे हो, चीटिंग कर रहे हो. आपके ट्रस्ट एंड फेथ के ऊपर कंपनी ने आपको पैसा दिया and you are trying to cheat them. First of all, we have to see public was involved or not. If public is not involved, then the fine is different. If public is involved, then the fine is different. Here the public is highlighted with different colors for you. This is the case where the public is involved. Then you have to see if the fine is lower of 10 lakhs or 1% of the turnover. So there is a limit which has been set up. You have to go to that limit. 10 lakh rupees or the fine, it is 1% of the turnover of the company. So say for example, the company's turnover is 5 crore. Then what is 1% of 5 crore? Jaldi batao. वन % ऑफ टर्नओवर करना है आपने 5 करोड़ का, कितना करोगे? 50,000. So which is less, 10 lakhs or 50,000? What will you take? So if it is lower of that, 5 lakh आ रहा है बेटा, 50,000 नहीं आ. Very good, it's 5 lakh. So 10 lakhs or 5 lakh. If the fine is lower of all these and public interest is not there, means lower of this means 5 lakh is lower. Suppose the fine is 3 lakhs. Now 6 months to 10 years jail and 3 times of the amount involved. So 3 lakh was the fine. So 3 into 3, 9 lakhs will be your fine. And there is also mandatory jail in this case, because you have done a fine at least lower of then less than lower. So beta at least lower of this, that means it is more than the fine. And here less than the lower means यहाँ पे 3 lakhs वाली condition. If the fine is less than 5 years of jail and 50 lakhs or both, यहाँ पे और आएगा आपका condition में. And if it is more than, मतलब इससे भी, इसका जो भी कम है इससे भी ज्यादा फाइन था, एटलीस्ट 5 lakhs तक होता तो ठीक है, बट उससे भी ज्यादा है. तो अगर पब्लिक इन्वॉल्व है तो 3 साल से 10 साल तक जेल होगी. पब्लिक इन्वॉल्व नहीं है तो 6 months से 10 years. But amount of fine is same in both the cases, that is up to thrice the amount in it. Is that clear, everybody? No, it is not a private placement, Manivanan. It is about the misstatement in the prospectus. We are doing section 447. Now let's do this case study. With a view to issue the shares to the general public, a prospectus was issued. X received the copy but did not apply for the allotment of shares. The allotment of shares to the general public was completed within the stipulated time. A few months later, X bought 2,000 shares at a higher price, which later on fell sharp. X sold these shares at a heavy loss and want to claim the damages for the loss suffered because the prospectus contained a false date. अरे भाई पहले shares खरीद चुके हो, ठीक है? And now you're selling those shares further, and now you are telling them that there is a mistake. Examine whether X's claim for damages is justified. Read the case study and give me the answers. Don't simply write yes and no. Please give the reason also. Very good, very good. Few of you have given the answers. I'm waiting for everyone to give the answers. Total students, please, you also give the answers. Good students. Many of you are still writing. So let everyone write it down. Yes, Ishan, 447 is basically in case of your section 34, where you have made any material misstatement and then you have to prove that point. Okay. But if the directors prove that it was not relevant, means it's not very important point that has been missed out, then they can escape from this liability of 447. Sachin Kumar Sharma, Bhavna, good answers. Good morning, Bhavna. You can write your answers here in the portal also. Ashmita. Excellent. Muskan, because he's not a primary buyer, that's great. You're doing it, selling it from the secondary market. What about others? Still thinking? So here is the answer and how you have to write it. Peak versus Gournay is very important case that happened, in which it was held that if you're buying the shares in the primary market, then you can reject them. But if you're buying it in the secondary market, you're the second buyer, then you cannot file a statement. Then you cannot file this for false statement. So it says prospectus is any document, including red herring and other prospectus. You will give the definition of prospectus. You are inviting the money from the public. बेटा ये जो केस स्टडी के आंसर्स होते हैं ना, अगेन यू आस्क मी कि मैम हमने ऐसा ही लिखना है. जब आप बार बार हम क्यों कर रहे हैं रिविजनरी, हम रिविजनरी में सिर्फ क्वेश्चन आंसर्स ही क्यों कर रहे हैं, ताकि आपको पता लग जाए एग्जाम में लिखना कैसे है. एंड बार बार हम इन आंसर्स का फॉर्मेट जब रीड करते हैं, अगेन एंड अगेन व्हेन वी रीड द फॉर्मेट ऑफ दीज आंसर्स, it gets fed over here in a subconscious mind, and we try to attempt in the paper also in the same. So you'll have to read the answers again and again. Everybody can write it in their own words. There is no harm, but these words have to be written. So prospectus is not binding if the person has not purchased the securities in response to it. X purchased the shares from the stock market. So he has not bought the shares on the basis of prospectus. He cannot be action against the directors. X will not succeed because the above provision damages will not be available to a person if he has not purchased the shares directly on the basis of prospectus. So you're buying it from the secondary market, you're not buying it from the primary source, then the directors will not be held liable. Very good, Astha Sethi, correct answer. Now do next question. ABC Limited wants to issue shares and debentures frequently within a period of 1 year to raise the funds without undergoing the complicated exercise. Examine the feasibility of proposal and tell the concept of deemed prospectus to be written. Give me an answer in 1 or 2 lines. What should be the answer for this one? Sachin Kumar Sharma, give the answer for this one also. Previous one is correct, child. Very good. Shelf prospectus, information memorandum plus shelf prospectus shall deem to be the prospectus. Good. So we have already discussed this one. I hope it is clear. You can just read the answer over here. What is meant by abridged prospectus? What are the circumstances in which it is not required to be accompanied? What are the penalties in case of default in complying with the abridged prospectus? Shagufta, previous answer is correct. Now answer me this one. Case study 6. Please send your correct answers. Good, Muskan. The first part is correct. Answer the second and third part also. Very good. Everyone has given the correct answers for this one. It is a summarized form of prospectus to be given as specified by SEBI for making regulation. What are the two circumstances in which it is not required? Where it is for underwriting agreement, when the securities have been not offered to the public. Any default you're making, 50,000 rupees fine for each default. Clear hai beta? Shall we move to 7th case study? Very good, Soumya. Good answer. An allottee in the shares in a company brought an action against the director for misstatement. Director said that the statements were prepared by the promoters and he has relied. Will the directors be held liable? Are the promoters experts? I don't think so. What do you think? Read question 7 carefully and answer it. Shagufta, Muskan, Ishan, previous one wala bilkul theek tha. Yes, Ishan Jain, even if it is given under prospectus provision, they have clearly written what is 447. Wherever 447 is written, same provisions as that. Okay, Manimanan, correct answer for this one. Asta Sethi. Directors are liable. Good. Everybody has given the correct answer. Let's see the format of writing the answer. The directors will be held liable under section 33 and 34 and 35. 34 imposes a penalty if you are doing any material misstatement. Only situation where they will not incur is no criminal liability if it is proved that it is immaterial and they had reasonable grounds to believe that it was a true statement. However, no civil liability will be there if they have consented to become a director. He has withdrew his consent. Therefore, in the present case, director cannot hide from their liability because they're relying on the prospectus and promoters are not the experts. I hope everybody is clear about this answer and there is no doubt in this. Punishments for fraudulent inducing person. I hope no doubts in section 34 and 35, children. Let's move ahead. Section 36. Shagufta, your answer was correct for the previous one. Khushi Gupta, since the directors are required to sign. Yes, very good, Khushi. That's correct. Punishment for fraudulently inducing the person. Section 36 is very, very simple. So we are just skipping it because we are in revision. 39, फटाफट से देख लेते हैं बेटे. Summary allotment of security, section 39. There must be two conditions. Minimum subscription, at least 90% of the money should have been received and it should have been received by check or any other instrument. If no allotment has made, refunded. First of all, money to be received within 30 days. No allotment made, refund within 15 days. Not refunded, severally liable. It is 10% per annum or 12%? 15%. Where it is 12%? Yes, Asta, both of them. If they are in fictitious name, means in fake names, both will be included. 15% will be the interest. So minimum subscription, amount received within 30 days, amount if not allotted, refund within 15 days. And if company makes an allotment of securities, then within how many days you have to file a return of allotment with the registrar? Within how many days you will have to file a return of allotment with the registrar? Tell me. Within 30 days, a return of allotment has to be filed with the registrar. Manivanan and Muskan are the first one to give the correct answers. And if any default is made under section 39, then penalty, which continue 1,000 for each day, 1 lakh, whichever is less, will be the penalty. So the third penalty, section 26 पे करा 50,000 to 3 lakh. 50,000 वाली करी हमने abridged में, and then this third penalty, 1 lakh. So examiner will give you the question, in what ways Companies Act regulate and restrict in respect of public shares issues, minimum subscription and application money. ऐसा क्वेश्चन आएगा तो आपने सेक्शन 39 का लिख देना है. प्रोविजंस के restrictions है minimum subscription पे, no allotment will be made unless the amount subscribed has been received and the sum payable has been already paid to the company. एप्लीकेशन मनी कितना होना चाहिए? अब ये कहाँ पे लिखा होता है? दिस इज दी SEBI गाइडलाइंस दैट वी हैव सेड दैट अमाउंट पेबल ऑन द एप्लीकेशन शैल नॉट बी लेस देन 5% ऑफ द नॉमिनल. One is minimum subscription of 90%, minimum application is 5% of the nominal value of securities or the amount which the SEBI has specified. Again, 30 days, 15 days refund, and you have to file a statement. Penalty will be charged if any default. Clear है बेटा? Question number 8, everybody is clear? Section 40 is very, very simple. It simply tells you that securities to be dealt with stock exchange before making any public offer. वो कहता है नाम बता देना कौन से stock exchange पे आप अपनी securities list करा रहे हो, and what is the scheduled bank in which separate bank account has to be maintained. And this money which you have received for securities should be utilized only for either adjusting the amount allotted for the securities or for refunding the amount within 15 days as per the SEBI. Any default is made 5,000 to 50 lakh, 50,000 to 3 lakh. 50,000 to 3 lakh same है. 5 lakh to 50 lakh, yeah. Any allotment which is made not complying with the securities shall be void. हमने क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 में पढ़ा था ना, void, यहाँ पे लिखता है वो void, इस करके हमने लिखा. तो जरूरी नहीं एक ही सेक्शन की एप्लीकेबिलिटी होगी आंसर. Once you have read thoroughly the whole chapter, you have to mention it at other places. Peter, that was Ishant in case of private placement. Okay, that's why I was trying to confuse you. 15% is the correct answer. Underwriting commission may, you can do the underwriting commission 5% of the price of shares or less amount for the shares. Debentures में 2.5% देते हैं. This is the provision. Now you have to solve another important case studies. Let me just see once how many case studies are left from here. So that, because children, we have to do some important questions from share capital also. We have too many questions. I want to do 1-2 questions related to private placement also, because that is also important. So let's do 1 or 2 MCQs and then we will start with share capital and debentures. Time limit within which the contract copy for the payment of underwriting commission shall be delivered to the registrar. Please try solving this one. For the underwriting commission, section 40, I have given you a MCQ. Please give the answers. Everybody, B is the correct answer at the time of delivering the prospectus. Students on the portal, Bhavna, Sachin, Hashpita, Pratiksha, all of you answer. Karthik B. Correct answer, everybody has given. Muskan, Khushi. Muskan is saying A. A is not the correct answer. B is the correct answer. So as per the rules relating to copy of contract has to be delivered at the time of delivery of the prospectus for the registration. Trident Limited is in the process of making private placement of securities. It received the application money and allotted the securities, but failed to repay the application money. What will be the interest rate? Write it down. So this was the question that I wanted to give you. Everyone has given the correct answer. Wonderful. 12% is correct, but children, you have to see the dates also. Muskan, Manivana, Nasta, everybody is correct. So 1st May, 16th May, and 12% will be the correct answer. If the company fails to make allotment within 60 days, वहां पे condition 30 days है, private placement में 60 days. Repayment 15 days में same है दोनों की. वहां पे interest 15% per annum है, यहाँ पे interest 60% per annum है. Tell me students, from the expiry of 60th day, मतलब 61st day से interest लगेगा, not from the date of default. Is that clear to everyone? Yes, Pooja, good, correct answers. Everybody has given the correct answer. चलो फटाफट से बेटा एक क्वेश्चन ये वाला पढ़ लेते हैं, which is related to your private placement. ये सारी मैंने पीपीटी आपकी अपलोड करवा दी है. यू कैन रीड ऑल दीज क्वेश्चंस. क्लास में हम सिर्फ ये वाला देख लेते हैं, प्राइवेट प्लेसमेंट वाला. सेक्शन 40 के भी है, इरेगुलर अलॉटमेंट भी है. ऑल दी important comprehensive list of question answers have been included, so you can revise it from here. Prakash wants to raise funds for its upcoming project. Accordingly, it has done the private placement offer letters for issuing equity shares to 55%, of which 4 are qualified institutional buyers and remaining are individuals. Prakash Limited is raising its fund. Before the completion of allotment under this offer letter, company issued another private placement offer letter to another 155%. Being a public company, is it possible to issue the securities under private placement? Yes, public company भी कर सकते हैं private placement, कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं. Is company in compliance with private placement, or these will be treated as public offer? What if the offer of debentures is given after allotment of equity shares but within the same financial year? A very comprehensive case study. ध्यान से पढ़ो question number 6 and write down the answers in the chat box, because after this we are going to start with the share. Very good answers coming up. I want everyone to write the answer for this one, children. It's your revision. You have to revise private placement also very nicely. I can still see the MCQ's answer only. Maximum 200%. Very good. Okay, Soumya, answers are not okay. You're writing. Muskan, something again with the very good, very good. So let's quickly see the answer to this one, children. Section 42 tells you that private placement can be done. Maximum people should not exceed 50 or such higher amount. For counting the number of person qualified institutional buyers will not be considered. 200 is the maximum number of persons to whom this limit can be made. So here the company is making the offer of securities. Count QIBs को count नहीं करना हमने. Company is not permitted to make a fresh issue as it has not completed or otherwise or withdrawn or abandoned by the company. This provision is even applicable even if the issue of different kind of securities means अगर debentures भी issue कर रहे हो तब भी applicable रहेगा. Offer is not in compliance with the section, therefore it will be treated as a public offer. So many of you have just written, ma'am, it will be a public offer. That is correct. For provisions and understanding, you will learn and so it is. This is your conclusion that you will give. You get to simply read it. Let's move quickly to the share capital and debentures. So I hope no doubts in prospectus, children. Anyone still have any doubts? They want to, they can ask. Yes, Astha Sithi.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, beta.
Ma'am, in Abridged Prospectus, it is written that the prospectus is to be made available to any person who requests it before the closing of the subscription list. Ma'am, company has to give before the subscription list closing or the person has to request it before closing?
Company has to give. Before the closing of the request, company has to.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, in section 39, it is written that money has to be remitted in any means. But
so
ma'am,
money has to be, the most important condition is within 15 days, child, the refund has to go in the same account from where they have received the money. That is what they're trying to tell you.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Let's proceed ahead towards share capital and debentures, children, now. I think let's do important questions first, and then we will see if we can just do some theoretical revision also. So here is the first question in front of you on the screen. Raghav Electronic Limited share capital is... Astha, you still want to ask something? But you can write down in the chat box. I will take it up after share capital. Share capital is divided into different classes. Now this company tends to vary the rights attached to the particular class of share. What procedure will we have to follow for obtaining the consent of the shareholders in relation to variation of rights? So can we have this kind of variation if you're having a particular class of shares and they want to make any variations? What will happen? So section 48 will become applicable, which says that any variation in the right of shareholders, the consent has to be taken. At least 3/4 of the issued shares of that class, special resolution will be passed. Such variation will be contained in the memorandum. If such variation is prohibited, then in the absence of the memorandum, if such variation is prohibited, 3/4 of the value of shareholders and other provisions shall also apply. Any shareholders who are not agreeing will be given a chance. So all these provisions have to be written for the cancellation and the variation. At least 10% of the issues who do not consent can file an application to the tribunal, and this application will have the will not have effect unless and until it is confirmed by the tribunal, and then application shall be made within 21 days within which the consent or is. So if you remember and you obtain the information about the 3/4 of the shareholders filing the consent, that is special resolution, 10% they are going to tribunal, 21 days, तो आपको marks मिल जाएंगे provided all these provisions have been written. Very good, Muskan. Well tried. 3/4 of the issue of shares. That's correct. And beta 10% वाला भी आपको लिखना. Now let's do important question related to sweat equity shares. John Private Limited is an unlisted company. You want to revise first sweat equity shares or you want to do the question? Tell me, hurry up in the chat. पहले revise करना चाहते हो या सीधा? Questions. Okay, good. Others are not responding. Manivanan says revise. Muskan says question. Others are silent. So John Private Limited, okay, कोई बात नहीं, question ही Okay, many of you have said questions, so let's do it. John Private is an unlisted company. The company have share capital of 50 crore rupees. They have decided to issue sweat equity to its directors and employees, and they have decided to issue 10% of the sweat equity shares, which will add up to 30% of the paid up equity shares within a lock-in period of 5 years. As it is a startup company, explain the provisions of sweat equity shares by a startup company with reference to the provisions of Companies Act. Quickly give me the answers for sweat equity shares. They have given you the limit, 10%, 30% is the percentage that they have given you. And it's a sweat equity by a startup. It's an unlisted company incorporated in 2012 and the total share capital is 50 crores. Only one child has given the answer. What about others? All right. So first of all, children, section 54, you have to given the provisions. Those who have said revise. So this is your revision only because entire provision has to be mentioned. Section 54 governs the sweat equity shares and it tells you that any startup company as defined in the notification of Ministry of Commerce can issue sweat equity shares not exceeding 50% and up till 10 years. So sweat equity are being issued to directors and employees. Yes, ma'am, हो सकता है directors and employees को lock-in period क्या रहेगा for 3 years. The company can issue by passing SR. So you will have to tell them that SR is also. So it's a startup company. It is issuing 10% of the equity shares within the limit of 50% and maximum 3 years period they will remain as lock-in. Correct? I hope no one has any doubt. Read the answer once again, and if you have any doubts, you can ask. Shugufta, your answer was correct that you have written in the chat box. A company issuing DVR should not have defaulted in the repayment of term loan where the company has made. Company may issue where default is made. DVR may be issued on the expiry of how many years? ये तो आता है आपको अच्छे से फटाफट से कर. 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Absolutely correct. 5 years is the correct answer. Public company is proposing to issue sweat equity shares to 7 of its employees for the value additions bought in them. The period for which the employees have been allotted cannot transfer them within 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or 6 months. Everyone has to give the correct answer for this one. We have just done the question related to this child. हमने अभी करा है इससे related question. So 3 years is the correct answer. Lock-in period of 3. Neon Limited is a listed company having an authorized share capital of 25 lakhs. Company wants to buy back the shares of 10 lakhs. How much amount of equity is allowed to be buyback on the total amount of equity shares? So what is the maximum buyback that is allowed? 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 6,25,000 or 8 lakhs? Somebody is saying B, somebody is saying D. Please answer question number 3. अगर आप B बोल रहे हो तो question 3 का B बोलो क्योंकि आप previous answers भी ऐसे लिखते जा रहे हो. Khushi Gupta says B. This is for this one. Nancy Saxena. 1 year. पुराने आंसर दे रहे हो. Khushi Gupta. Good. Shagufta. Question number 3B. So B is the correct answer because the buyback limit has to be less than or equal to 25% of the paid up capital plus free reserves. He has given you this limit less than 25%. So 5 lakh is the correct answer. A share certificate was issued in the physical form. An unlisted public company that has a common seal was said not to be valid. The same shall be clear and convincing evidence of ownership only if it is signed by 2 directors or 2 directors, one of which is managing director, or 2 directors and CS where the CS company has appointed CS, or a director and CS. Now tell me whether 1 and 3 is correct. मतलब 2 directors and CS होना चाहिए या फिर 1 and 4 2 directors and CS होना चाहिए या फिर 2 and 3 are correct means 2 directors and if company has a CS and ये भी होना चाहिए and one of them is managing director या फिर 2 and 4 होना चाहिए. Question number 4. D. Everybody says correct. Yes, children. So B is the requirement to have common seal optional for companies. Physical shares signed by 2 directors, one of them along with the CS is valid. If possible, one of them should be MD or WD. So which is signing this? So B will be correct. 2 directors and where the company has appointed company secretary, then CS will also be informed. Okay. PQR wants to issue preference shares for a period exceeding 20 years for financing the proposed infrastructure project. Tell on the basis of which statement the company can do so. Company can issue irredeemable preference shares by passing SR. Company can issue preference shares for a period exceeding 20 years. With approval of CG, can issue irredeemable for infrastructure, can issue preference shares for a period exceeding 20. Revise your preference shares and answer me this one. Absolutely correct. D is the correct answer and everybody has given the correct answer. Within beyond 20 years, you can go if it is for the infrastructure projects. If there is any change in the rights of one class of shareholders that is affecting another class also, SR is required. Company won't do anything. Consent of 3/4 of the shareholders will be obtained. A resolution of joint meeting will be held. Question number 6. Previous one, D was correct. Everyone has done it correctly. Nancy Saxena, ध्यान से पढ़ो क्वेश्चन. Soumya, for question number 6, are you giving? Everybody has given the correct answer for 6, that is C. At least consent of 3/4 of the value of shareholders will be obtained. Why are you saying joint meeting? Okay, don't give wrong answers. Rahul has received a notice from MN Private Limited initiating to submit a transfer deed. So section for transferring of the shares, 1,000 partly paid up shares he has transferred. In his, Mr. Rahul's name, Rahul is a transferee. He has raised an objection that the transfer of shares should be done latest by 9th March, 16th March, 17th March, or by 31st. Tell me the correct answer for this. Answer number 6C, everybody has given the correct answer. Now you have to write answer 7. All the students on the portal, wake up. Are you writing the answers in the chat box? Still you're writing C. You have to tell me question 7 ka kya hai? Question 7 ka B hai. So the company will not register unless the company has filed SH5 to the transferee and transferee has given a no objection within 2 weeks. The date. 2nd March को वो करे, 16th March तक maximum वो कर देगा transfer. If the company has authorized share capital of 6 lakh, the paid up share capital of 5 lakh and a loan of 2 lakh obtained from the state government. State government has directed the company to convert its loan into equity shares. Then this order will have the effect of increasing subscribed share capital, paid up share capital, authorized share capital, or all of the above. Question number 8. Everyone give the correct answer, please. It's a very easy question. Manivanan, C का 7 का C नहीं था बेटा, B था, वो गलत करा आपने. Muskan, 7B was correct. Shagufta, for the 8th one, you're giving the answer, right? So all of you have given the correct answer. D is the correct answer. Section 62 को reference करेंगे. Government order conversions हो रही है loan में. So amount of the value of shares have been increased and converted, resulting in subscribed and paid up share capital increase also. Read this question, children. Section 56 से related. Let me see how many MCQs we have. Okay. Shri Lakshmi Private Limited was incorporated on 27th August with 30 persons as subscribers with an authorized share capital of 1 crore divided into equal number of shares. They have subscribed for 1 lakh each share. Advise the date by which it needs to deliver the share certificate to the subscribers. All those who are having a doubt in transfer of the transmission, we will just have a quick recap also of transfer and transmission of shares. Everyone has to give the correct answer for this one. So you can write question number 9, A, B, C, D, whatever you select. Yes. Everybody for the 9th one, C is the correct answer. Most of you have given the wrong answer. share certificate will be delivered within 2 months from the date of incorporation, children. So 2 months, 27th August, 27th September, 27th. Why are you saying 27th November? It's 2 months time, okay? C is the correct answer. Where the share capital is divided into different class of shares, the rights attached to the shares may be varied with the consent of writing of the shareholders of not less than by passing an SR 1/4, 50%, 3/4 और 75%. ध्यान से पढ़ो, हम सिमिलर क्वेश्चन कर चुके हैं. नैन्सी सक्सेना अभी भी गलत कर रहे हो बेटा. Yes, now you're right. Now you're right. Manivanan right. Pooja right. Everybody has given the correct answer. So for this one, 3/4 is the correct answer. So section 48 is a very, very important section. All right. So I will be taking up few concepts for revision of share capital now. I hope no doubts in the question answers. Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm taking out the share capital questions. Just try solving one important question of irregular allotment, which I feel is very, very important for all of you. Yes. Please read the questions very carefully and try to answer in the chat. It's related to section 40. I've given you a hint. Pay point. Okay, Muskan. Yes, Asta, 75% is not correct. 3/4 ही आएगा उसमें. Solve this question and then we will take up the query given by Muskan. Everybody write the answer. Although there are two different questions, but the same intention has been given in the question. Yes, that is right. Asta, 40 section will prevail. Articles of Association, very good. 5% written in AOA, whichever is lower. Good, Pooja. Okay, Manivanan. Let me show you all the correct answer for this one. So it says any commission which is paid in connection with the subscription or procurement of securities. Number of conditions have to be seen. So one of the condition is the commission paid shall not exceed 5% of the price or the rate of price, whichever is less. So the maximum can be 5%. In the given problem, they have written 4%, but the director decided to pay 5%. Therefore, the decision is invalid. So 5% of the price or articles value, whichever is less. So 4% is the lesser figure. So 4%. Clear? Now, if the question comes like various instances which make the allotment of securities irregular, so ये मुझे एक बड़ा important question लगता है because इसमें एक आपको concept revise हो जाता है भी कौन-कौन सी allotment of securities में आपका irregular. So it says where the prospectus is issued, it is not complying requirements of section 23. Prospectus issue ही नहीं करा company ने and public issue में चले गए. Where you have not included the matters of section 26, then also it becomes void. Where the prospectus was not filed within the registrar, 90 days के बाद validity खत्म हो जाती है. Where the minimum amount of 5% has not been received or the nominal value, whichever is offered by SEBI. In case of public issue, approval of listing has not been obtained from the stock exchange. So, आपने section 40 में पढ़ा था कि listing has to be taken from one of the stock exchange. So, you have to obtain that listing. If all these, any of these points are not covered, then if you're allotting the securities, it will be void and irregular. Clear, hai, children? Now, let me open the study material for all of you. Page number 4.18. Page number 4.52, example 20. Okay, Asta, first we will do this query of Muskan, 4.18 and 10. So here we are talking about variations of shareholders' rights. We have done the three conditions. It shall not be prohibited. 75% of the shares value in writing has given and special resolution has been passed. 75% of the shares of that class must have given their consent, and for variation of other shareholders, 3/4 of the other class of shareholders. Okay, and 10% of the shareholders who have did not give their consent, they can file an application with the tribunal within 21 days. Now, DBS Chemical has issued ordinary shares of different classes. They plan to vary the rights of one of the class wherein there were only 105 shareholders. 100 out of 105 own 0.5 shares of that class, whereas the remaining 5 are holding 10%. Presuming 100 holders of 5.5% already signed and given the consent letter, how many holders out of 5 need to authorize the letter to approve the variation? What would be your answer, children? Tell me the correct answer. आपके according क्या answer होना चाहिए? Out of 5, so 3/4 has to be given. How many will give it? Tell me. Out of 5, how many holders? At least 3 should be given, right? So 3 is the correct answer for this one. It says holders of 75% of the issues must have given their consent in writing. So 75% of issued holders, not 75% of holders. तो जितने भी issued shareholders हैं, उनका 75% आप करेंगे, not of the total share. Is that correct? Now let's go to 4.52 where Asta has asked a query. So children, this chapter is very, very vast, but I have uploaded the summarized form of answers for this chapter, so you can go through that presentation. All the small summaries have been given for all the chapters. हाँ जी बेटा 4.52 में a company listed at Bombay Stock Exchange, a company listed at Bombay intends to offer its securities to non-members. Existing members consider this offer is invalid. Under section 62, subsection 1, clause A, company is not prohibited while offering new shares. After passing a resolution, new shares may be issued to non-members under certain circumstances. तो क्या दिक्कत है बेटा? It's fine. It says if you're issuing section 62 means rights issues, employees, stock options, and these. See, you have to do all these points again. Either it's a rights issue, it's ESOPs, or for cash or consideration under cash. Let me read what she's writing. Yes, 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 absolutely you can write. You can also write section 62 1B, and even if you don't remember, section 62 भी correct. अगर आप इस केस में सिर्फ सेक्शन 62 भी लिख दोगे ना बच्चा, then also it's correct. Okay. So Muskan, in that case, if you'll do 3%, 75%, then it will be 3 only. Okay. You cannot take it in percentage. It's coming 3.75. So you have to take whole numbers only, na? So they have not given you option other than this. So that's why 3 is the correct answer for that. This we have already done. Let's have a quick recap of debentures also, because we have not done any question related to debentures. So this is your basic definitions. DVR सबको याद है? DVRs कितने shareholders voting power वाले कर सकते हैं? I hope I am audible, students. 74% of the total voting power. Company has not defaulted. हमने अभी कर भी लिया MCQs में 5 years वाला point था. Certificate of shares is very simple. Section 46. I hope no doubt in this. This is your section 48, which we have been doing. So consent of not less than 3/4 or SR has to be passed. SR के लिए भी अगर आप MGT में पढ़ोगे तो 3/4 ही लिखा हो. 75%, 3/4 of the shareholders only. Dissenting shareholders also we have discussed 10% वाला. Calls in advance and calls in arrears, simple. एक quick go through कर लेना है इसको. बहुत ज़्यादा time नहीं लगाना है इसमें. Security premium account, very, very important. What is the purpose for which SP account can be used? Give me the 5 purposes for which the SP account can be used. An important question which often comes in the exam, covering your perspective of accounts also and as well as laws. What are the 5 purposes for which SP account can be used? Can anyone would like to raise their hands and answer? Quickly. Always Muskan raises her hand. Well done. What about Manivyan, Astha, Bhavna, Soumya, Kushi, Gupta? Don't you want to answer? Okay, Muskan. Tell 2 purposes.
Ma'am, preliminary expenses, buyback.
Sorry?
Preliminary expenses, buyback.
Very good. Very good, child. Astha, the other 2.
Issue of fully paid bonus shares and redemption pay premium.
Okay. And one last one also. Writing of the issuing expenses. Very good. Very good. So this is a very important question. All of you must know the uses of SP account. But where the company's subsection 3 has an overriding effect, if any class whose financial statements comply with accounting standards, then 2 things cannot be used. That is for preliminary and for this one, premium paper on redemption. Then you can only use for these 3 purposes. Okay. State equity shares, we have just done a quick recap. Preference shares भी हमने अभी कर लिया था. 20 years वाले हैं, not exceeding 30 years होना चाहिए. Infrastructure वाले हो सकते हैं ज़्यादा time के लिए. CRR create करोगे बेटा आप when you redeem the preference share. Okay, transfer and transmission में the transfer deed is made. The certificate relating within 60 days from the execution, the letter of allotment should be filed. 60 days वाला पढ़ना है यहाँ पे अच्छे से. अगर lost हो जाती है within the period of 60 days, indemnity has to be given. Application is made by the transferor alone, then he will not register unless a notice will be given in SH5. No objection will be received. ठीक है? Transmission होता है by succession if you are getting the shares. So while transfer is bought by proper instrument of deed बनती है, transmission happens by the notarizing of the documents of death certificate. Section 57 is again personation, very simple, related to penalty only. 58 is also related to penalty. If any refusal happens for the tribunal, कि आप case file कर सकते हो, tribunal के पास जा सकते हो अगर आपको नहीं मिलता है for the refusal of the registration of the transfer. 59 is for your rectification of members, and then come your important section 61, 62, 63. 61 में आपने limited companies की power है उसके पास. Rights issue में आपने अच्छे से पढ़ना है जो हमने अभी क्वेश्चन भी देखा था. Section 62, subsection 1, 2, 3, तीनों ही ESOPs. Bonus shares is again very simple, reduction of share capital and buyback of securities. Section 62. Let me take you into the bonus shares में पढ़ लोगे अच्छे से provisions. Restrictions on purchase of company or giving loans for company cannot give money for purchasing its own securities. This is what Section 67 tells you. Buyback of securities. Now, how from where the buyback can be done? The buyback can be done out of free reserves, SPA, and proceeds of any fresh issue. And what are the conditions? Articles have to authorize it. SR has to be passed. If SR is not passed, can we do the buyback? Yes or no? Very. You cannot. Buyback cannot be done. Maximum buyback कितना हो सकता है बेटा? Not exceeding 10% of the total equity plus free reserves, but it should not be more than 25% of the aggregate of the paid up capital. So please remember, यहाँ पे paid up capital बोला है, यहाँ पे paid up equity capital बोला है. Okay, and the debt equity ratio should not be more than 2:1. In case of listed companies, SEBI's provisions have to be followed. If not, then only the companies have to be compliant. What is the procedure for the buyback? Notice will be sent to the members giving full disclosure, material facts. What is the necessity of the buyback? Why do we need to make the buyback? What is the time limit for the buyback? All the classes. And within how many time period from the date of passing the resolution, the buyback can be done, children? What is the time period for completion of buyback? Tell me. If it's 1st June 2024, I have passed the resolution authorizing the buyback, then within how much time period? Very good, Manivanan. Shagufta, Muskan. So 1 year, 12 months. देखो, जहाँ पे उसने लिख दिया 12 months, वहाँ पे 12 months. जहाँ पे उसने लिख दिया 3/4, वहाँ पे 3/4 लिखना है 75 में. यहाँ पे 12 months लिखे तो 12 months ही. Yes, it's same, but if they ask you, then you have to write it in the same sense. Buyback कहाँ से होगा? Existing shareholders, open market and securities for the ESOPs में से भी हो जाता है. Solvency की declaration देनी है. What is the meaning of solvency statement? Means we will not be declared insolvent. Our financials are quite sufficient, healthy financial statements we are having. We have sufficient assets to pay off our liabilities. Right? So this solvency declaration has to be given. Two directors, one of them shall be managing director, shall be signing this affidavit. Cooling period कितने time का होता है buyback में? What is the cooling period? No, Muskan, there is not much of the difference, but law requires you to use this word only. Otherwise, they would have written 1 year, right? So, Soumya, I hope now you are enjoying the revision because we are revising entire things. You said that, ma'am, we wanted to revise also. So, that's why I've taken up the slides also. Okay? So, children, please keep revising. You will not be able to answer if you have not revised. 6 months is the correct answer. All of you have given the correct answer. So, now register your buyback. Very good, Shiv Gupta and Soumya, 6 months is correct. So this is the register. All these details will be entered in the register. Filing of the return of buyback within 30 days. वहाँ पे भी 30 days था return of allotment. Buyback की भी return 30 days में जाएगी. And if any penalty, please learn the penalties. Too many penalties in this chapter. Just give it a flip through. एक बार read कर लेना है. बहुत ज़्यादा time पीछे नहीं पढ़ना उसके. ठीक है ना? प्रोस्पेक्टस की हमने सारी पेनल्टीज आज करी है, वो आपने लर्न कर लेनी है, बिकॉज क्वेश्चंस में भी आ रही है ना. क्वेश्चंस में ही इज आस्किंग यू अबाउट द पेनल्टीज. सिंपल क्वेश्चन दे रहा है एंड साथ में पेनल्टी मांग रहा है, बिकॉज उसकी पेनल्टीज इंपॉर्टेंट है प्रोस्पेक्टस. सो डिबेंचर्स, लास्ट सेक्शन, सेक्शन 71. डिबेंचर्स होते क्या है? बॉन्ड्स, इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स व्हिच वी हैव साइंड, and these are not debentures which have been referred by the Reserve Bank of India or any other instruments prescribed by central government. If company authorizes by passing SR, they can convert these debentures into shares also, but company will not issue debentures carrying voting rights. They never have voting rights. Secured debentures can be there, they can be unsecured debentures. Maximum period for which the secured debentures can be issued: 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Tell me. 30 years तो मैम कभी है ही नहीं. अगर 30 years है तो वो किसके लिए है? इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कंपनीज के लिए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेट फंड्स के लिए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए, एंड द कंपनीज बाय NHB और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट which have been permitted, they can issue the debentures exceeding 10 years. But what will be the maximum cap? Maximum 30 years. Debenture trustee appoint करना होता है, किस लिए? So that debentures are kind of a loan which has been given by the company. So debenture trustee is appointed to take care of their assets which have been secured. Security will be created by creating gauge. Debenture trust deed is made. Now this, when I end section 71, I try to tell the students that this is something which we are ending and you will be starting your deposits from here on. जो आप debentures में भी पढ़ रहे हैं, debenture trust deed बनती है, debenture trustee कौन है, सिमिलैरिटी है डिपॉजिट्स के साथ, ऐसे ही आपका डिपॉजिट शुरू होता है, उसमें भी आप सिमिलर पॉइंट्स पढ़ोगे. सो ट्राई डूइंग डिबेंचर्स अलोंग विद डिपॉजिट्स. लाइक आई प्रेफर देयर रिवीजन फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स एट डिबेंचर्स एंड देन डिपॉजिट्स, सो दैट सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ प्रोविजंस यू कैन हाईलाइट एंड कीप इट इन. एंड देन डिबेंचर ट्रस्ट डीड इज ट्रस्ट डीड इज मेड. DRR will be used, debenture redemption reserve में आप अमाउंट डालोगे, which will be used only for the redemption of debentures. And why there is a requirement? All the financial institutions and generally not required to create DRR for unlisted companies other than NBFCs. DRR equal to 10% of the outstanding debentures. And the amount of investment in the debentures on or before 30th April आप deposit कर दोगे, इसमें invest करोगे. 15% of the debentures maturing during the financial year in any year in any of the following investments. तो इन चारों investments में आप डाल सकते हो, किसी में भी अमाउंट इक्वल टू 15%. डिबेंचर रिडेम्पशन रिजर्व की रिक्वायरमेंट बता रहा है कैसे आपने डिबेंचर्स जो मैच्योर होने हैं वो आपने इसमें अमाउंट डालना है in respect of the debentures invested or deposits, and 15% of the debentures which are maturing have to be invested in these 4 securities. At any time, the amount shall not fall 15% of the amounts maturing on the year ending 31st March of the day. So, जितना भी आप amount invest कर रहे हो, you have to make sure that the amount, the balance shall be 15% of the amount of debentures to be maintained. It should not fall below that. Now, important last point: who is a debenture trustee? Following people can be appointed as the debenture trustee. Written consent has to be taken. Following are the people who cannot be appointed. अगर आप कंपनी के बेनिफिशियरी शेयर होल्डर हो तो क्या आप डिबेंचर ट्रस्टी बन सकते हो? The answer is no. अगर आप कंपनी के डायरेक्टर, प्रमोटर और की मैनेजरियल पर्सन, if you are a company's director, KMP or managerial personnel of holding subsidiary or that company, can you be appointed as a debenture trustee? Any relative of these people? No. If you are indebted to the company, you have given certain loan to the company, then you cannot be appointed debenture trustee. If you have given any guarantee, then. Now, what is the meaning of pecuniary relationship that you have to tell? If you have any pecuniary relationship amounting to 2% of the gross turnover or 50 lakh or such higher amount, whichever is lower during the last immediately preceding, means any kind of relationship that you are having with the company, which is a monetary relationship. And what kind of monetary relationship you have? That is, how much money? at least 2% of the total gross turnover, 50 lakhs, whichever is higher, and whichever is lower out of this. So any relationship we have out of this amount, then for the 2 years, then I cannot be appointed as debenture trustee. Debenture trustee cannot be removed less than 3/4 of the debentures holders should agree, then only you can remove him. His casual vacancy has to be fulfilled, written consent has to be taken. And what about the meeting of debenture holders? कितने लोग consent करेंगे तो meeting बुलानी है, at least 1/10 of the debentures should consent. But debenture trustee कैसे बुला सकता है? CEO motu means out of his own choice, he can also call the meetings of the debentures. So thank you very much. Well in time, we have completed the entire revision, although I had to be very fast because I wanted to complete all the concepts with all of you. So entire chapter 3 we have revised, and very well you have answered question answers of chapter 3, children. बहुत अच्छे से आपने आंसर करा. Even some of the provisions which I was doubting, you have answered it very beautiful. So well done. Keep yourself a patting from my side for chapter number 3. Chapter number 4, we have done full revision once again, but the answers for chapter 4 you're still forgetting. I completely understand and agree. It's a very lengthy chapter, very big chapter. But children, the way you have been responding and you have been preparing, I'm sure you will come out and pass with flying colors. So keep revising and keep going through the notes. Rukna nahi hai beech. Keep on doing it. Keep the continuation. Keep that spark alive in yourself. ये नहीं कि आज बहुत ज्यादा कर लिया, आप 2 दिन रहने देते हैं वाला नहीं करते. All right. Thank you, Shugufta. Thank you so much for sending those lovely smileys. Thank you. Thank you, Manivanan. All right. Ma'am, आवाज था कि अभी भी doubts clear खत्म नहीं हुए हैं. Ma'am, 3.40. Can section 40 also applicable? 1 minute, beta. I will have to open it. 3.40. Page number 3.40. In the question you want me to tell you? Yes. Absolutely, that's correct. The question that you have asked for the allotment, you can mention about section 40 also, because it specifically tells you about the irregular allotment. All right. Yes, Pooja, you will get all the question answers for chapter 4 also. All the MCQs will also be given. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Soumya. Thank you, Muskan. Thank you, everyone. And I hope you have enjoyed the session and all your doubts are clear. So I look forward to meet you in the next session now. Maybe on 29th, we'll be meeting. So after this, you'll be having your deposits and registration of charges revision and other chapters. And then at the end, I will be taking up the session with you for companies incorporated outside India and India. All right. So thank you all of you, and I hope no more doubts left, and see you all soon. All the best, children. Keep preparing well. Goodbye.